electrification is one of the key mega trends for the automotive industry, and to prepare itself for the new world, global powertrain major, diesel engine major, Cummins has now set up a new business unit called for electrification, with us we have Julie Furber, who is the executive director of that business. Julie, thanks for talking to Autocar Professional. Mm-hmm. So, could you give us an idea about how you are leading this kind of a new transformation of sorts for an organization like Cummins?
Yeah, so our intention is to provide fully electric and hybrid electric powertrains, and we're doing that through a combination of utilizing skills and capabilities we already have in the organization, and then augmenting that with acquisition to add to our capabilities. So we recently acquired 2 battery development companies, and so that's going to enable us to have a product out on the road in buses by the end of 2019.
Right, and would you look at the region of India also for any such inorganic move as well?
So certainly we're definitely keeping a watching eye on what's happening in India. There's a lot of activity with the government putting out targets for when electrification will happen here. So we're very interested. We're putting in a small team here to develop some product and hopefully have some demo product out pretty soon. And then eventually, as volume starts to build here, we would certainly look to put some manufacturing in place here.
So that team, I assume, would be part of the Pune technical team, right?
Yes, Cummins is opening a new technical centre in Pune, which will house, in the end, up to several thousand engineers, and some of those will be part of the electrification business team.
How big will this electrification business team be?
Yeah, so initially we're putting in maybe 6 to 10 engineers to work on product initially, but I can see that growing pretty rapidly, pretty quickly.
As I understand, the electrification game, though it's same electrification, but it's quite different in commercial vehicles. It's going to be quite different for commercial vehicles. Could you just give us an idea about how different would it be, how different the entire business dynamics would be?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on that. The work that a commercial vehicle needs to do is way different than the work of a passenger car, and so the durability and the longevity of the product needs to be very different. So the batteries need to be different, the motors certainly need to be different, the controls and the power electronics need to be very different as well to do the work required by a commercial vehicle.
We don't see many examples of adoption of electric powertrain or electrification in the commercial vehicles. How does Cummins see this playing out?
Yeah, great question. So I think it'll come in phases. So there's some phases, or there's some of those applications where the capability of the technology today is suitable, and also the cost of the technology today works. So good initial applications for us are things like transit bus that are operated in cities. So our first products will be geared towards that market. We're also seeing some other niche markets like maybe underground mining, forklifts that are starting to develop. And then I think we need improvements in technology, cost, and also charging infrastructure, and maybe regulation that will drive adoption in other markets as we go forward. And I think, for a while it'll be a push around city applications, and then eventually, much longer term, as economics change, we might see adoption in things like line haul truck and stuff, but I think that's a long way off. We see Cummins talks about the need for this variety of powertrain solutions for quite a long time, right from internal combustion engines through hybrids, through fully electric, and eventually in the future through fuel cells, but all of those will be required. We're moving from this one size fits all to a world where a variety of solutions is what the customer needs.
Right, and also as I look at it, it also appears to me as a very long-term and smart transition strategy for Cummins.
Right. Yes.
Like the way, for example, if I'm a mechanical component manufacturer, yes. I may be the world's largest, but if the world doesn't need
moves to electronics,
for example,
exactly.
I'm no good.
Yeah.
So that kind of a transition is what I guess.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think over 100, we've been around for nearly 100 years, and I think over that time, we've seen many changes from mechanical engines to electronic engines, introduction of emission regulations, and I think we see this as the next evolution of technology. And Cummins is really a power provider, and this is the next way to provide power. And like I say, in the future, I can see us investing and bringing fuel cells to commercial viability as well. So I think we intend to be there for our customers with the right technology.
Exactly, and nowadays, not many companies are also looking simultaneously working on multiple technologies, some of which may or may not see the light of day, but in terms of preparedness, we have to be there.
Yeah, so, exactly, you've got to be ready.
By that logic, do you see a good scope for synthetic fuels also?
That is something we continue to look into, and I think like I say, we continue to look into a range of technologies, and as and when those are ready, we'll bring them to market. So our R&D organisation is working on those things. We were working on electrification for a couple of decades before we brought it to commercialisation. So yeah, there's plenty going on there that may come to market at some point.
In India, how much scope do you see for the business which you're leading?
So I think there is a lot of scope, and I think in the end, I think there'll be a particular focus around cities where air quality is a particular issue. So I can see that's where things will start. But I do see, there's definitely a push from the government, and I see that the business will develop over time. I think it will be slow. I don't think it's hard. The technology, the costs, and the infrastructure are not really there to make it move quickly. But I think as it moves, I see it's a good opportunity going forward.
Perhaps from a long distance kind of viewpoint, which are the key markets you see for electric commercial vehicles?
So China's really probably the one that's racing ahead of everyone else, and there's certainly a lot of investment going on there. We see a lot of activity in Europe. In North America, we're seeing activity in particular regions and cities. So California is a particular region that has a lot of energy and a lot of effort going into electrification. And then we see it in various cities throughout the world. We're seeing things happening, and I think this will be different in that we will probably see local regulations driving things, as opposed to we're used to the national emissions regulations taking place.
All right. On that note, Julie Furber, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure talking to you, and have a good stay in India.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And thank you very much for watching this conversation with Julie Furber, Executive Director of Cummins' electrification business.